Yes, so welcome to our guest lecture. Let me officially introduce our guest lecture. Ms. Cheryl is an educational leader in Alteryx, is where a hybrid analytics and automation leaders role. With over a decade of professional experience, her career commenced at the Ministry of Education in Singapore, further into leadership role in entrepreneurship and also the higher education space. So currently, Cheryl hold a pivotal role where orchestrating the development of education partnership in Asia Pacific and Japan. Welcome, Ms. Cheryl, for our guest lecture. Just to give some background about our current participants. So we have 120 students, around another 10 is expected, maybe. We have students from undergraduate, masters, and PhD, and also some of them are working students. Some of them are full-time data science students. We welcome. Yeah, it's increased 127. Okay, please give a warm welcome to our guests, my dear students. Please welcome everyone. Yes, one second. Yes, so you can enter in the chats or emojis or anything. Welcome.
So
Yes,
to
Ms.
deep
Cheryl,
dive
hand
back
over to
in,
you.
no, let's deep dive back
Thank you
into
once again.
other
Thank you,
industries and
Dr.
other use
Riaz.
cases. So if you're familiar maybe with finance and audit or risk, right, you might know a little bit about um, fraud analytics. So in this particular cruise company, they were basically previously pre-Alteryx, just doing a lot of random sampling when it came to analyzing their high-risk vendors. So they wanted to understand, of course, which were the riskiest vendors and which should we then decide not to work with, right? Because it could present losses for the company. But they were doing random sampling. And so with Alteryx, and this is, a repeatable task that they are doing maybe on a monthly basis, on a bi-monthly basis even, yeah. And so they were able to automate the entire process and achieve 100% accuracy in analyzing every single vendor, even if it numbers to the 200,000 or more than that, they were able to very quickly analyze it. Yeah. And that is essentially a main thing about Alteryx. It's all about repeatable tasks. Are there any repeatable tasks in your business, in your organization? What are the repeatable tasks? And then how much time is are you or your colleagues spending on it? And are you able to automate that process? Okay, so I want to share also an NTUC income story. So NTUC income, if you are familiar, they are based in Singapore and they use Alteryx in their actuarial department. So for those of you who might not be familiar with actuarial, understanding, for example, how much should a company price their life insurance or health insurance or hospitalization insurance, they will be doing that. They also do anything from there are departments that look at maybe claims. So they try to analyze the claims, right? Try to identify whether there were fraudulent claims and so on. So they definitely deal with a lot of data. They're often drowning in data. Yeah. But actuarial specialists tend to be coding experts. They are definitely experts in coding, whether is it R, Python, etc. Yeah. But why is it that they decided to use Alteryx? So, and this is a picture of their. It's not a very clear picture because it was a snapshot that they took. Yeah, I think because of confidentiality, they can't share too much. Yeah, but this is a snapshot of one of their Alteryx workflows, and for them, I think their story will resonate with many different organizations or almost all. First of all, is that number one, they had a lot of siloed data processes because they had data taking all kinds of formats, right? And so they use different formats to extract their data. And what happens, it's not that they cannot extract, they can extract most of the time. But the question is, where is it then extracted to? So you have a lot of like compartments, it becomes very siloed. And so when they need to have end reports, okay, there are a lot of reconciliation challenges. It is very painful, very time consuming, okay, and a lot of unproductivity when the person could be spending time doing something more meaningful. Okay. Then secondly, they were handling on large volumes of data and it was very ineffective. And what happens? Everything becomes very manual. When they want to customize their data, Okay, they're doing it manually. When there is an error, it is also very hard to pinpoint where is the error. When they want to improve processes, it is also going to take them a lot of time to do it manually. Okay, and in my most recent, so I had a conversation with another insurance company which also uses Alteryx, and I asked them, what is the one thing that, you know, or actuarial departments face? What is the one problem that they face? And they said, actuarial departments, actuarial practitioners, actuarial individuals, they tend to do great work within their organization. But of course, not everyone stays in one company forever, right? So what happens is that when they leave, they take their code with them. So what happens? They take their code with them, and the rest of the organization or the rest of the department do not really know, they don't really know what that code is all about. So it causes a very heavy dependence on one or two people. Okay. And it leads to big like audit issues. Yeah. And so many of these companies are increasingly using Alteryx to solve that problem. There is always that element of maybe having very advanced machine learning aspects. They will have that as part of like their data processes, but especially in the first part, which is what you see here, where they have data extraction, they have data preparation and some calculations, all that is done on Alteryx. Okay. And also, what is this like? All these colorful things that you see here and all these little text boxes. You see these white color text boxes. So that is related to item 3. Item 3 is that they basically lack documentation trails. If let's say there was maybe actuarial VP and actuarial science senior manager, actuarial manager doing different things to the process. Let's say if it was done on code, a lot of the documentation is lost. And so when it came to audit logs, right, they had none, or when it came to making enhancements, they don't know if somebody else coming in to make enhancements, they wouldn't know what was the last enhancement made, right? Or, how do I find that place to make the enhancement? So these were challenging. And it's not that it cannot be done, but it's just very, very tedious to ensure that everything is on one space. Yeah. So to give you a closer look, okay, all the things on the right side, on the left side, you see these blocks of green. So these are like the green tools where you basically input your data or you extract your data from different data sources. Okay, you have all kinds of data sources. So anything from, say, of course, your typical Excel, CSV. We also are able to connect to a variety of different, like say SharePoint, or maybe connect to your data warehouse, etc. And then the next stage is merging. So all these purple tools that you see here, there are purple tools here as well. These are all merging data tools. And then you go through data preparation. Yeah, orange tools here, data pivoting, data aggregation. Okay. You have like the blue tools here, more on the formula side, like formulas, filters, changing data type and such. Okay, so that's lots of calculations done over here. And then at the end will be output to Tableau. Remember that I said that Alteryx is well integrated with Tableau and Power BI or Click. So any visualization software, okay, visualization dashboards and such, right? That is output at the output level. Do we have visualization tools? We have, right? But our visualization tools are quite simple. So most companies would definitely integrate Alteryx to their other data visualization tools. And then something that is unique to Alteryx here is actually right here above here. You see this long rectangle that's in green? That actually is apps, Alteryx Analytics apps. So what this means is when I create an app, there could be other departments in, for example, this is actual department, right? But there could be other users in the company that don't use Alteryx, as in they don't build workflows, right? But they need the data from here. They might not need this Tableau dashboard. It might not be relevant. Maybe they need other parts, maybe they don't need this endpoint, but they need something in between. So at every single instance, there could be data that is helpful for some user in a company. So the apps basically allows them to access that data, to download that data, for instance, without having to see or do anything to the entire Alteryx workflow that you see here in the middle. Okay, so the apps could also maybe even ask a few questions, and then from there, right, the relevant data will be generated. Yeah, so that's apps for you. And then we also have something that I'm not showing here. We also have another thing that we call Alteryx macros. So Alteryx macros basically are helpful. Let's say if you have a few main data processes, let's say it could be data preparation, for example. Sometimes data cleansing is a very tedious act, right? Very tedious process. So that could be, let's say, this whole thing is a necessary and relevant data preparation steps for many different users in the company. Okay, and I will then save this as a macro, and so anyone in the company can just take their macros and integrate into their workflow, and they don't need to then build this slowly on their own one by one, because it's already been pre-prepared. So these are the advantages that these teams are able to benefit from. So at the end of the day, it's all about being able to save time, right? Being able to work well, right? Collaborate across teams. So another story, and this is more on the finance industry. So more on maybe audit and internal audit, or in finance departments and such, and also the finance industry like investment banks. Yeah, these look into anything from, say, credit risk management, portfolio optimization, stock portfolio optimization, stock market forecast, trade reconciliation, and so on. Notice the similarity between all of these is that all of them are repeatable. There are repeatable steps that one would take to complete these processes. Yeah. So there is a story here, not really story, it's just a quote on a company. So it's a global investment firm called Franklin Templeton, and they're also based in here. We're also based in Asia Pacific. So they basically were relying fully on Excel spreadsheets quite a fair bit. Yeah. And when it came to trading failures, right? Yeah, they really suffered a lot of losses. So with Alteryx, they were able to slowly expand the use of Alteryx across a lot of departments and automate many of the processes that they were having. So, for example, the foreign exchange, there's a lot of foreign exchange risk, right? Being able to respond as promptly as possible to minimize your losses. This is something that's important for them. So they will rely both on Excel and also external consultants to help solve to help carry out their processes. And what happens is that when you over rely on external consultants, you realize that you don't have speed on your side, because you have to wait for the consultant to reply you, right? When there are changes that need to be made, or there's something wrong with the data and so on, there's a lot of back and forth going on. So that was something that they wanted to move away from. Yeah. And so they managed to do so with Alteryx. Yeah. This is a really short and sweet workflow here. That is a little bit bigger, you can see. And this is on stock performance. And you notice the thing about Alteryx so far, and you've been seeing in the same situation, say for this one as well. These are all little icons, right? And each icon serves a certain function. It carries out a certain action on your data. Okay. And all you need to do with Alteryx is to be fairly familiar. You don't have to be super familiar, because our tools do evolve, they do get updated, right? You can't be a super expert in like 300 tools, but it all at the end of the day is being familiar with some of the top most used tools, right? And then understanding how can you create as short a workflow as possible that is efficient and can then be saved and automated, so that you don't have to do it manually on your spreadsheets or on SQL and such. But of course, if you want to maybe integrate Python and R in your workflow, you can do that, because we do have Python and R tools that can be inserted in any of our workflows as well. Okay, so this other case is about bank loan default modeling. And this is like a snapshot of their workflow. Yeah. it is, I will show you a bigger version of it later on. So their story basically is that like many banks, they had a lot of loans that they were giving out, but there were a lot of people that were defaulting on the loans. Yeah. And they needed to do something about it in maybe identifying who were the most likely people to default. What were their profiles? And so later on, when I had new customers coming in to apply for loans, if their profiles fit that profile, I will not approve their loans. So that's basically the long story cut short, right, of their bank loan application process. And they were able to do that and save their company a couple of $1 million a year. Yeah. And also, where previously the whole loan application process took a lot more time, yeah, because of this manual tedious work that the analysts were doing, this was now reduced. Yeah. And it was a lot more timely and a lot more accurate. The other thing too is that um the company was also okay. If I just maybe let me just zoom in straight into the workflow so that you can take a closer look at it. Yeah. So the other thing too is that in this process, there could be a variety of different departments that will find this data helpful for them, right? You could have maybe the bank loan application team, right, that specifically looking at approving loans, that looking at this information. But there could also be other kinds of department, maybe even say, customer experience or, marketing department or all kinds of other departments that will find this workflow helpful for them. So the great thing about Alteryx workflow is that when you have a couple of data sources, common data sources, right, that there are then you extract the data, you process the data, the output of that could then flow to a variety of different managers in different departments, yeah, without compromising on the whole workflow. And there is one source of truth. When I say one source of truth, I mean the marketing department, when they look at their dashboard, for example, here, the data that they are looking at is identical, or rather the source of that data is identical to, let's say, maybe the finance department. Okay, it's not going to be multiple sources of data where they look at it and say, are we looking at the same group of customers? Something is wrong. How come your data source says this figure and mine says this figure? Okay, something is wrong here. Maybe we missed out one of our data source. Maybe we didn't clean the data properly. These are the common challenges that many large organizations face. So with this bank loan application process, you have your data sources here in the beginning. Okay, you have your data preparation, data merging, your data aggregation here. And then you see this brown tool. So this is the predictive models that they're building. And you notice if you can zoom in, I don't know whether you can see random forest modeling, decision tree modeling, boosted modeling, logistic regression modeling. And then you are able to compare and evaluate the scores. Yeah. And then of course, before that, these are all the data investigation tools. So very quickly you can, figure out, okay, are there any outliers in this data source? Yeah, what must we do to clean up this data source before we do our modeling on it? Right? And then of course at the end, it says here, report scores to database and Power BI. Okay, so this is like your output to the databases and Power BI. Yeah. So at any point, if there is an error, let's say if a particular data source fails, it will immediately be flagged out. Okay. If somebody makes a formula error, you know where to find the formula tool. This one is a formula tool, this blue color one. You can then immediately rectify the formula, right? And make sure that the whole process is working fine. So in terms of also teamwork, if different teams come and go, if different teams are working on the same process, it's very easy for them to do so without, relying on that one person that knows it all, right? And then when there's team attrition, right, people leaving, coming and going for long leave and so on, right? The team still knows, it's self-explanatory. You look at this and you know what your colleagues built, and it's very easy to understand. And now with our new GenAI capability, we call it workflow summary. Some of the workflows, this is not very, very extensive, but some of the workflows of our clients are like maybe 4 or 5 or 6 times what you see here, right? So they do make use of our workflow summary tool, which basically very quickly in a few words, in a few sentences, summarizes the entire workflow, right, in a couple of words, a couple of sentences, and that is helpful in for documentation sake, right? To keeping track on what is being built, and so it helps teams that come and go, or persons that come and go to that they use Alteryx, they take a look at it, they know what is being built here and whether this is a workflow that is relevant for them. Okay, so at this point, I know I've spoken quite a bit, right? Do you have any questions? I will, of course, let you have a taste of Alteryx soon. But if you have any questions, particularly maybe about certain industries and so on, certain features, like let me know. Okay, and if I can't answer, if I don't have the information, I'll be happy to, of course, send you the information after this. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, I always here to answer any of them that you have. Okay, so moving on, right? The main platform that you have been given access to is this Alteryx Designer platform. It is, first of all, it is an end-to-end data science platform. Yeah, most of our clients, I would say 99.9% are still using our desktop version, so it's downloadable. Yeah, and you can do anything from data prep, data blend, predictive, to computer vision, text mining, sentiment analysis, and so on, all on Alteryx. So that's the data challenges. Okay, I'm going to be starting the session for the practical session right now. Okay, can I invite you to open up your Alteryx Designer and make sure you have all of your data sets ready as well. Okay, so if you have any problems in accessing Alteryx Designer, like let me know. Okay, I may not be able to solve it now, but after this, I might be able to help you or route you to the right person to solve it. Okay, so an overview of our platform so that you can understand the user interface of our platform. You have over here the tool palette on the top where all the tools are. Okay, and then you have this, you will be able to see this arrow as well on the right side where you can actually like look at more and more different tools that we have. We have our canvas, this is where we build our workflow, and we have our configuration window on the left side where you can configure the settings. And then at the end, these are the results that you'll be able to see. Okay, so the main thing about Alteryx, okay, is knowing how to build that workflow and of course experimenting with it. Okay, so don't be afraid of making mistakes when you build an Alteryx workflow. Okay, so the main thing also I want to show you is about knowing how to connect the tools. Okay, this is a real like up close screenshot. You will see two tools here, and you will see a left anchor here and a right anchor. And you see a left anchor and a right anchor. So in Alteryx, after connecting the tool, you will have to click on the left anchor and the right anchor to see the data in the results window. So when you click the left anchor, for example, if I click the left anchor over here of the orange tool here, I will be able to see in my results window, which is at the bottom, the data that is coming into this orange tool. So pre-processing of the orange tool. And then if I click on the right anchor, it means I will see the data that has been transformed by this tool. Okay, so just to let you know, sometimes students do get lost a bit when they don't click on the anchor and they don't know where's the data flow. All right, so I'm going to jump into sharing my Alteryx Designer screen. Okay, let me know if you have problems with your files as well. Okay, so this is my Alteryx Designer screen. Okay, and I want to invite you to click the in out over here. So on the top here, you will see an in out, right? So what I'll do is I will be helping you, I'll be showing you how to build that workflow. And then as and when I'm able to, I might also write in the chat function some of the instructions in case you didn't manage to catch what I said. Okay, so first thing what we'll do is we're going to start building that data. Yeah. And I'm going to look for the input data tool. So if you look for in out tool palette, you look for input data and you click and you drag it onto the canvas. Okay, and when you click and drag it on the canvas, can you go to the left side and you will see there's a connect a file or database option over here. Okay, so you click set up a connection and then you look for that file that says flight data 1. So you probably have to click under files, go to select a file. Okay, and then you source for that data that you stored somewhere on your desktop or your computer. Okay, so I'll just take a few steps. Go to click that green input data tool, go to set up a connection, go to files, go to select a file, and then you choose that file that you stored somewhere. Okay, the file name will be flight data 1. Okay, so flight data 1 YXDB, which is the Alteryx database file, you click that. And then I want you to click run, which is on the right side. There's a run button, or you can click the shortcut, which is a Control R. Then you click run. Okay, when you do that and you click on this green anchor here, the green right anchor, okay, and you go down, you will see that there are close to 30,000 records over here. Okay, so close to 30,000 records. And if you don't see the records, then it means that you haven't click run yet. So make sure you click run or click Control R. Okay, if you have problems doing that, let me know. If you have problems seeing the data flow or problems finding that file. Okay, so I want you to do the same for the other 3 files as well. So flight data 2 and flight data 3. Hold on, I'm just having a bit of problem with my mouse. Let me just. Okay, so I'll just do the various steps and then you can follow that. So I've put in another input data tool. Okay, on the left side, set up a connection. And then same thing, go to files, go to select file, look for this file called flight data 2. Okay, click run. When you click run, if the data is in there, you will see that the flight data 2 file name has been renamed, will be shown on the input data 2. Okay, do that again for input data 3 file. Okay, so I have it here on my recent connections because I already uploaded it on Alteryx prior to today's workshop. Okay, so it's easy for me to find it. Okay, so you have data 1, data 2, and data 3. Okay, so there are a lot of other different data sources. So if you just go to set up connection, you go to data sources, you will see all the connections here. So if ever you want to connect it to, maybe Snowflake, right? Spark, yeah, you are able to do that very quickly here under data sources. Yeah, but otherwise you should go to files and you should be able to find what you need. Okay, so now next stage, I want to show you this browse tool. So the browse tool will help you take a quick look at the statistics of your data. Okay, so you go up here, you look for browse tool, which is a binoculars tool, pull it to your canvas and let it connect. Notice that the connection is usually quite immediate. Okay, let it connect. If it doesn't connect immediately, what you can do is from the left to the right, click the left anchor, drag and connect to the right. Okay, and then Control R. And on the right side, left side, sorry, you will see the browse configuration and it shows some statistics on date, on airline, on flight number, and so on and so forth. Okay, when I want to see something a little bit closer, so okay, let's take a deep dive into the date column. You click date and you will see things like, okay, 100%, unique values 0.01%, null value 0, not okay 0, empty 0. Okay, statistics also, you will see top values you will see group value. So a couple of things here, okay? Everything that you see here is looking great. It's a very clean data source, okay? Not very realistic, but it's very clean data source. You also see that the whole line here is green, and when you hover your mouse over the bar, okay, it says okay 100%. So what is this green thing? Okay, it's very similar to this results window. If you look down at your results window, and I just encourage you to take a look at your results window. Okay, let me just try to zoom in. Okay, can you see this light green color all the way here? Just specifically date also. When you hover your mouse over date, it says okay 100% and green. So the colors represent different data health indicators. Where you have, for example, null values, if there are a lot of null values, then this green bar will not be green. There will be some yellow shown. Same goes for the dark green here. If there are null values and see yellow here, then you will see some yellow shown over here. If there are empty fields, then it will be gray. So this data bar indicator gives you a very quick overview of how healthy your data is. Okay, so when you don't want to see the date column anymore, you just click this close. Okay, you want to see other things like maybe airline. You can click airline and you will see something else under airline as well. Okay, so this browse button is helpful for you to, it's helpful for you to use it regardless of, you can insert anywhere in your workflow. Okay, so now I'm just inserting it to the first one, just FYI for you to try it out. Okay, some shortcuts too, in case you are always, eager for shortcuts. Control C and Control V does work for us. So if you want, you can actually highlight and then Control C, Control V to paste that browse tool all over your workflow. Yeah. But connection still has to be made manually. Just be aware of that. And then you still have to click run for the data to flow before you are able to see the results of that browse tool for every single data source. Okay, so far so good. Is everyone able to type in your 3 data files so far? Okay, I saw somebody saying that your Alteryx keeps shutting down. It could be your system requirements. You might have to check your system requirements. You check based on my attachment that I sent. It could be that you don't have enough memory space. That could be one possibility. Okay. Also, depending on what your machine is, like you're doing it on a VM virtual machine, right? Then you must make sure that you have, like, let's say you are a Mac user, make sure that you download the recommended version of Alteryx based on what my download instruction shows. Okay. But otherwise, for the rest of you, if you have managed to input all 3 data sources into Alteryx, can you give me a reaction, like maybe like a thumbs up sign or something, so that I know you have that 3 data files already in your Alteryx and we can move forward with no problems. Okay, next step, I'm going to show you how to merge that 3 data files. Okay. Okay, I've seen a few thumbs up signs. Okay, that's great. Okay, let's go to try our merging. So I want to show you something cool, which is our search bar, and it's an AI search bar. So when I'm searching for merging files, okay, I actually do that via my join palette. You look for this join palette that's purple in color, okay? But in the event that I don't know where are my join tools or how to find a combine tool or merge tool, right? Because I'm new, all I have to do is click and write something here. So you can write like maybe combine, and what will happen is the join tool will be suggested, and there will be more as well. Okay, and also apart from that, you can see that there are a couple of like when you type in something in the search bar, I'm not sure whether you can see what I see, but you can see a lot of community results as well. So these will route you back to our website, right, where other users have wrote in maybe similar challenges, and then they have questions. So for example, I can put in duplicate, and then a suggested tool called unique and fuzzy match will be suggested. So you know to remove duplicates, look for these 2 tools. Okay, so feel free to make full use of this search bar, okay, especially when you don't know, when you're new to Alteryx and you don't know what is a specific tool to use. Okay, so I want to introduce you to the merging tool, and it's under join. Okay, now there are two main different joins or 2 types of like merging tools you can use. One is the join tool. and one is a union tool. But today we will only be using the union tool. So you pull in the union tool. Let's let it connect automatically to one of your flight data sets, okay? And then you practice like connecting the tool. So if I just zoom in, you connect flight data tool, click on the anchor, connect to the left anchor of the union tool, click on the right anchor, and then connect, drag and connect to your union tool. At this point, the data has not been processed yet, okay? So how you know? Okay, click your run, Control R, and what do you see here? When you click on the right anchor of your purple union tool, you'll see 86,451 records displayed. Okay, so I'm just going to drag my screen, my canvas more to the left so you can take a closer look at the results window. So there are some extra functions here that FYI you may want to know about. Okay, so aside from being able to see how many records are there, when you click on the right anchor, you will see 86,000. Remember, you click on the left anchor, you'll see a different record. Yeah, so you click on each anchor, you see a different number. Yeah, so when you go back to your right anchor, I want you to click on this button here, which shows metadata. Click metadata, and it will show you some information about your data. It will tell you the date. Data type is a date data type. Airline is a V string. Departure delay is a double. So it gives you some indication whether this is the correct data type. If you're happy, then fine. If you need to change data type, you know that you need to consider that as part of your data cleaning process as well. Okay, so you go back to your data. At any point when you are searching for a particular number or figure or value, you can also use the search bar over here. Okay, and there can also be actions taken, and I'll show you later on how you can do some shortcut actions inside your results window. Okay, but just zoom in on your left side of your results window. Can you see there's an output button? There is also number 3, number 2, and number 1. So make use of these buttons to see different things in your results window. It means that you don't have to go back to the canvas and click the different tools. Okay, so let's say if I go to flight data tool, okay, then I will only see one button here, which is the output button. Okay, so just be aware that there are some extra icons here, right, that serve different functions. Okay, so back to after you have merged the data, okay, what you would like to do now, and I want to introduce you to this nifty tool, which is our tool containers tool. Okay, so just go to your search bar and I want you to type tool container. So earlier on in my presentation, I showed you some of the actual clients' workflows, right? And they use tool containers very avidly because of the need for documentation. And also they like to compartmentalize different parts of their workflow. So click that example. Can you see example? Click example. And example will pop up here. So these are like 1-2 examples. Okay, they will show you some dummy data that you can click the anchor over here, and they will give you an example of how to use this tool container tool. So different tool, every tool has a has a 1-2 example, has an example page. Okay, so over here, what I will be showing you later on to try out is we're going to be building a tool container, and we're going to be copying, like dragging all our tools inside that container. Okay, so the containers prevent the data from it keeps all the tools, all the specific tools in one box. Okay, and if you want to switch off or deactivate the data flow at any point, you can do that by clicking this blue button here. Okay, so you just close it and come back to your workflow, and I'll show you how you can do that. Okay, you go back to tool container, you search for tool container, and you just click tool container, the word tool container, and drag it to your canvas, and it would let go, and you see this container turn up on your canvas. Okay, it looks something like that. So how do you drag it inside? Okay, just click the canvas, drag the whole, like drag and highlight drag and highlight all the tools that you've created so far. Okay. Once they've been highlighted, you see this blue color outline. Click on it. You see this like move icon, right? Cursor, the move eye cursor. Click and drag it inside the tool container. Then you see the tool container will change color. It will change to a lighter color, and then you let go. And what will happen? Your entire tool container is now containing all the tools that you've earlier created. Okay, so inside the tool container, there is a heading. This will show you how to change the heading name. So over here on the left side in the configuration, there is a caption section. So you can put in, for example, I'm going to just put in something like extract and standardized data. Okay, you can write whatever you want. Okay, this is just experimentation just to show you. Okay, but for most of our clients, of course, you know, they would give specific relevant headings to show the different stages. Okay, then they will also sometimes often choose a specific color for the container so that at one go, when you look at it as an overview, you can very quickly see where are the sources, you know, where's the predictive part, where is the cleaning part, and so on. So how to change the color? Just go to fill color, click the 3 dots, and then you choose whichever color you want. Okay, so let's say I'm going to choose like a light yellow. Okay, I'm just going to choose a light yellow, and then I click run, and then you will see that it now changed. Okay, now I will also show you how do I change the annotation for the merging tool here, the union tool. So the union tool, when you click on the union tool, okay, go to the third button here, which says annotation. So within a configuration, you see annotation here on the left side. Okay, it's like a tag. And then over here, there's a giant annotation box, and type in something there. So I'm going to type in something simple. I'm just going to say merge data sources. Okay, or of course, you can say, let's say merge flight data. Okay, since you have flight data 1, 2, and 3, right? So merge flight data. Okay, and then you click run again. Yeah, you will see it appear here. Okay, so reason why I'm showing you this is because often one of the #1 reasons why our clients appreciate Alteryx is because documentation. Okay, ability to document, annotate, provide clarity on every step of the way. So it's very easy for you to also very quickly edit what you have just created. Okay, so FYI also about joining and merging data with the union tool. Okay, for the union tool, when you click on the union tool and you just go back to the configuration page, so you see this tool over here on the left side, there's this little icon that says configuration. Okay, it says auto configure by name and output all fields. And if there are fields that differ, warning or continue processing records. So the reason why I chose auto configure by name, okay, is because earlier on, when I look at the flight data input 1, input 2, input 3, all the column names are identical. So I have the confidence to then stack the data up. So I will use the union tool to make my data longer. You think of the U, the letter U, alphabet U being very long, right? U. So think of it that way. That's the way I remember the union tools are used. It's about stacking up the data, and they are the same column names. So very easy to use the union tool. Just auto configure by name. There are options also. Let's say if you want to auto configure by position, if you drop down, you will see auto configure by position also is an option, which means that maybe the column name is different, but you kind of know that they contain the same values, right? Then you just use position. If you want to manually configure fields, it means that maybe you have 3 or 4 or 5 or more data sources, but your fields are all like arranged slightly differently. Maybe the columns are, you know, arranged slightly differently, and then you want to like manually configure it. Then you will have to choose that option. Now, within the auto configure by name option, below, there's also something that we call the output order. The output order is something which allows you to choose the order that you stack up. So you have this order of 1, 2, 3. If you don't want to stack up according to 1, 2, 3, then of course you have your other options as well. Okay, so in this case, I didn't choose this. I don't really care about it, right? So it's not important for me. Okay, So far, so good. Yeah. Notice also when you click this right anchor of the merging of flight data tool, when you look at the origin date, airport and flight number and airline and date, that, oh, it's not 100%, there's actually this gray, and it's actually gray and green. Notice the data health indicator. Yeah. So it shows you something that you need to be aware of, right? Okay. So next stage, I'm just going to show you how to use the date tool. The date tool. Now, why I want to change the date. So looking at the date now is arranged in a very American way, which is year first, then month 02, then the specific date, which is 21st. So let's do it the other way. All right. So I'm going to show you how to use the date tool. Go to parse, P-A-R-S-E, parse. It's light green, and you will find this date time tool. And I want you to just drag the date time tool to connect to your purple color merge flight data tool. Okay. Now the date tool allows you to quickly change the column, the date columns, date type. Okay, so the format of the incoming dates. Okay, now I will choose date time format because earlier on when I checked the metadata, I saw that this is the date format. So I will not choose string. I know that it's not string value. The date column only contains date time format. Okay, so the column to convert will be called date, and then the new column name. Okay, let's just say I put new date. All right. And then I will select the format for my new column. So let's say I'm going to select this one that says DD dash month MON dash YY. Okay, let's just try experiment. And then the other columns below, I'll leave blank. Okay, and then I just click run. And what happens when I click the right anchor of my date tool? When I look at my results, I'll see that it shows now 21st February 2015. Okay, so if I'm happy with this, then I will stick with it with no changes. Okay, now a very useful and most used tool, often in the data preparation stage, like a data cleansing stage, will actually be the select tool. So I'm going to look for the select tool. It's under data preparation tab, the blue color tab. So look for the blue preparation tab and look for this tool that has a tick. So select and just drag the select, let it connect. Okay, for those of you, maybe you didn't manage to change your date tool in time, okay, can't follow, not to worry, okay, it won't really implicate our process downstream, okay. So but just choose a select tool, and then I would like you to try out. So the select tool can do a few things. We can rearrange the columns, and we can also rename the columns. So I'm going to basically uncheck the date column, which is the old column, right? Which had that like American date format. And I'm going to move up my new date column. Okay, so let's move it up. I will find the arrow button here and click all the way up until I see it above. And I'm just going to rename it. Like maybe I realize, oh, I don't want to see the word new date anymore. I just want to see date. Okay, so I'm going to capitalize it and call it date. Okay, and you will also see some data type here. So select tool is where what you use to change data type if need be. So for example, maybe your airline, is from V string, you want to change to another data type, you can do it here if there's a necessity for it, right? But otherwise, all good. We're only changing one minor change, which is just moving the column up. So now you see in my results window, the date is now the first column, okay, and it has been renamed as date rather than new date, right? And I've also capitalized it. Yeah. In the event, let's say you want to do some very quick like data cleansing. Okay. Some of the most favorite tools would be the data cleansing tool. So I'm not going to use it, but I'm going to show you how you can find out more about it. Under the preparation tab, you will see this data cleansing tool, right? You just right click over the data cleansing tool and then you click open example. And within the data cleansing tool, they will show you how you can do things like replace nulls, maybe remove unwanted characters, remove all white spaces. Okay, you can also standardize capitalization. Okay, all of it with a single check of a box. So the data cleansing tool looks like that. It's just checking a few boxes. Okay, so this is like one of the most like easiest foolproof tools ever, right? So just FYI, data cleansing tool will be helpful for like replacing nulls with zero, okay, and so on, especially at the data cleansing stage. So very, very early on when you're preparing your data. Okay, so remember, if you want to see the data transform, you can do that. Just click run within the one tool example, and then you will be able to click the tabs, the anchors of the tools, okay, and you can see the results in the results window. Okay, notice that in my results window now, you see red, yellow, and green. So that's what I mean, the example of like the data health bar showing you different indicators about the data. Okay, so that's the data cleansing tool, just FYI, so that you have an understanding of how to use it. Okay, so I'm just going to close that window. So far, so good. Okay, I'm going to introduce a new data source here. All right, it's called, let me just pull in your input data tool. Go to set up a connection, and it's called airline code lookup.csv. So look for that somewhere on your desktop or on your laptop. Airline code. So go to files, go to select file, and then look for that file somewhere. Okay. Otherwise, I'm just going to pull mine in. Okay. Now, FYI too, when you pull in a data source, sometimes your data source could be an Excel sheet which has 100 tabs, 100 sheets basically. Okay. When there's a necessity to pull in relevant Excel sheets, maybe okay, sheet number 1 to 10 only. I'm not going to look at 11 onwards. Okay, you can actually do that. There will be a suggested like pop-up window that will ask you which sheet are you using. They could even ask you which columns are you using. Okay, so just for your information. Okay, so now I'm going to click run, and then you will be able to see what that data looks like. You have the airline name that has been basically spelled out for you, like UA equals to United, AA is American, US is US Airways, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what I'm going to show you, I just want to show you how you can find and replace, use the find and replace tool. So what it means is, within the old file, which you have merged, right, which has like 86,000 records, all of the short form, like UA, AA of airlines, I want to replace that with the long form. So I don't see AA, I will see American Airlines. Okay, so how to do that? Go to join, the purple tab of tools. So under the purple tool palette, you will see find and replace. Okay, so you are finding the word AA and you are replacing it with American Airlines. Okay, so find replace and pull it to your canvas. Okay, so pull it to your canvas, let it connect. So one thing also about this find replace tool, it is something you have not encountered before. It has two input anchors. Okay, so one is called F, which is F for find, and R is replace. So you got to make sure that you're connecting it to the correct place. Okay, so your R, let it connect to airline code, lookup, and then for F, you're going to be connecting it to your select tool earlier on. Okay, or you can even connect it to your merging tool if you didn't manage to do these two steps, right? Yeah, so just connect it to F. Yeah, and then this is your one. So you only have one output anchor, but you have two input anchors. So find and replace. Okay, so on the left side in the configuration, it says here, find beginning of field, any part of field, or entire field. So you just search any part of field, click any part of field, and find within the field, which means that where am I going to find AA? So AA is under airline, right? So search date, find within field airline, find value, IATA code, which refers to this airline code, CSV. So AA is found under IATA code. Okay, so find under IATA code, and then There's an option in future. If you find this helpful, you can actually choose case insensitive find, which means like whether is it capitalized or not doesn't matter. You want to match the whole word or you don't want to match the whole word. Okay. And then now I'm just going to ignore that. I'm just going to replace found text with value airline name. How do I know it's airline name? Because my airline code lookup, the column name is called airline name. Okay. So my find replace says airline name. Okay. And then I'm just going to click run. And let's check whether it works. So when you click the right anchor, okay, you will see now all the airlines have been renamed. They are not in short form anymore. So it's working fine. Okay. So far, so good. Is everyone following? Hey, give me a thumbs up sign. If you are following, everything's good. Okay. Now, one great feature of Alteryx is our cache and run feature, which means that you see in the event, let's say, like in the case of McLaren, let's say they have like enormous, like maybe like 150 million records of data. How to sit there and wait for the data to flow. Sometimes certain tools will slow down the data processing, okay? And you want to be able to ensure there's no slowdown, okay? So that cache and run feature is very helpful. And I'm going to show you how you can use it, okay? So you can find out more Alteryx. Let me just write in the chat function in case you want to Google it. So you can search more for Alteryx cache and run feature, right? So it will explain to you what that does to help to prevent lagging, speed up the data processing. Yeah. So all you have to do is look for your last use tool. So assuming, let's say, assuming you are not going to make any changes to all the steps that you have taken so far, everything is good, no further changes, you will then basically, you are going to freeze the data flow on this whole part. Yeah. And so every time you click the run button, it's not going to be processing on the part that you have frozen. It's only going to be processing from the part that's not frozen from henceforth. Okay. But there are some rules on what you can cache and what you cannot. Yeah. So you can go and read up a little bit about that. So for now, let's say my last use tool is my find and replace. Okay. And what I can do is I go to right click it. When I right click, I will see that there is a cache and run workflow option. So you can click that option. And what it does, can you see? Now it says on the left side, any changes made to this configuration window will clear the cache. And also you see this bubble. You see the bubble? The bubble has like encased my tools. So all this is now cached. Okay, moving forward, if I were to build my workflow, everything will be as per normal, right? But when I click run, the earlier part, right, will not be processing. So yeah, so it's kind of like it saved my data processing time. Yeah, so just FYI, it might be helpful maybe for other processes where you have super large data files or data sources, yeah, and you need to speed up things. Okay, let's try a formula tool. So your formula, most of the most used tools amongst our clients actually exist in the blue tab, which is a preparation tab, the J, which is the join, and the orange actually. These are like some of the most used tools. Okay, so let's try out formula tool. Pull in the formula tool. It's under preparation formula. It looks like a beaker. Yeah, where you do your chemistry experiments. Okay, so your formula tool looks like this. Okay, then on the left side, you will see some output column, some formulas here. Okay, you can basically apply multi formulas to the fields, to the data fields. Okay, so how do you do that? Now, assuming, let's say, I want to be able to like very quickly, when I look at the departure delays, it tells, because now the data files are telling me what, like they assign a specific value for different flights. So in terms of departure delay, some says 11, some say -8, okay, and so on. And I want to be able to figure out which are the flights that had short delays and which are the flights that had long delays. Okay, so then I'm just going to experiment with a particular formula to show you how to use a formula tool. So within the formula tool, okay, can you go to select column? So under output column, I can apply my column, my formula to a new column, or I can apply it to an existing column. So when you click that drop down, you'll see this existing columns, right? But I'm going to apply it to a new column. So add column and just add there like long delays. Okay, long delays. And then now I'm going to put in my formula. So formulas, there is a repository of formulas that I can depend on to retrieve relevant formulas from there. So you click FX under functions. Okay, there will be some suggested formulas based on data type. But if I feel that no, this is not relevant for me, okay, I can actually look through the others here. So you can actually click down and you can see more formulas. Okay, but I'm going to look for conditional. So look for conditional and look for if C, then T, else F, and if. Okay, so within that formula, okay, I'm going to put in the application of one of the existing columns, which is departure delay. So what you do is if C, so you highlight C in your formula, right? You highlight C, and then you click X, which shows the existing columns, the existing column name. So I'm going to choose departure delay in the drop down. So if departure delay is more than 45, then I will indicate 1, else 0 and if. Okay, I'm just going to put this in the chat function for those of you who might miss it. Okay, so notice also one thing, when the formula is correct, the colors in the formula will change. So when the formula is correct, the colors will be colorful accordingly, yeah. When the formula is wrong, the colors will be dull, right? So that's something for you to be mindful of. Okay, so one more step I need to do in order for this to be accurate, I need to change the data type of the results. So the data type for my new column has to be a Boolean. So you go to data type, which is in the same section here, go to data type, drop down, go up, look for bool, so Boolean, and then notice there's a data preview here. The data preview means the machine now is applying my new formula to the column, and it's telling me that if I apply it, my first column will say 0. My first row will say 0. Okay, so it's actually testing. In the event where maybe the formula is wrong, right, it doesn't work out, the data preview will also tell you something that, you know, that indicates that the formula is not working out. Okay, so now when I apply it, yeah, you have that new column in your anchor. You click the anchor and of your formula tool, and when you scroll to the right, you will see long delays, false or true. Okay, you see false or true, right? And then if there is a need to maybe input a new formula, you just have to click plus. So maybe you want to have one column that says short delays, and then you are measuring short delays as less than 45 but more than 10, you know, then you can put it accordingly here. So multiple formulas can be applied. Okay, when you want to delete the formula, notice there is a trash button icon here. Just click that delete expression part. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to maybe do a quick count. So I'm going to count the number of long delays. Okay, so what I can do is I can go to my transform tab and search for summarize. And under summarize, pull it, let it connect. Okay, and over here, how to use this summarize tool? Okay, can you see there's a date, airline, flight number? So these are all the columns, right? So what you need to do is you need to select the fields that are relevant for you, and then you want to apply action to it. So this summarize tool is very helpful for aggregating your data. So in this case, I want to know according to I want to know very quickly, for each date, how many delays were there? basically. Okay, so let's experiment. So let's say I put in my date, I highlight date, it will be highlighted in dark blue, right? And I just click add, and I click group by. So date, add, group by, and then you will see date show up below. Yeah, and then I'm going to put long delays, group by, and then same long delays. I'm not going to choose anything else. So long delays, click add, and click count. Okay, if I make an error, I can delete the minus. I can use the minus here to delete. So let me show you how to delete. So we click long delays, add, count, and there's a delete button here. This is the minus. Okay, if I want to arrange it, I can use this arrows over here to arrange. Okay, so now I'm just going to click run to see and test whether everything is working fine. So when I click the right anchor of my summarize column, of my summarize tool, I will see date, I will see long delays. So long delays, true. So for every date, there will be a true and a false. So for example, for 19 February, it will show true, 780. Okay, false, how many? It's a separate count. Okay, so for those who might be a bit lost, okay, I'll just put here date, okay, group by, just write in the chat function, long delays by, and then lastly, long delays count. Okay, yeah, Dr. Riaz, I will end very soon, not to worry. Okay, so after that, after the summarize tool has been applied, okay, what we want to do, maybe you look at it and you're like, is there a way for me to maybe reorganize it so that I can also see the dates in a more orderly fashion? Okay, is there a way for me to maybe filter it so that I don't see the long delays are false part? So what you do there is you go to preparation and you go to filter, you connect your filter tool, okay, and you select long delays is true. Okay, click run. Long delays is true, click run, and you will see here. Okay, so I'm going to show you a shortcut from the bottom. May or may not be a shortcut. Yeah. So within the results window, I want to sort, I want to like rearrange or sort my dates in ascending order. So under date in the results window column, and you see a three dots that will show up when you hover your mouse over the word date. Then you click that three dots and you search and you drop down and you see sort. When you see sort and select ascending, sort ascending, and then you select apply and you click this green tick button. Green tick button must click, and then you click Control R. And what will happen is that the tool will automatically be applied here on your canvas. And now you can see, according to 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and so on, what is the number of delays for each date. Okay? Okay, now I'm going to end very soon by showing you our reporting tools. Okay, now remember when you want to use tool containers, of course, you can definitely create a new set of tool containers for this, right? So in the event you want to, okay, feel free to like highlight, like let's say highlight all these tools, okay, and then right click and add to new container, okay, and then of course rename the container to whatever you want that's relevant for you. Okay, now assuming, let's say at the end, you feel like, okay, I want to send some report to my boss. Okay, and what you can do, look for reporting tools and search for table. Okay, type your table and connect it to your last tool. Okay, you can drag it outside the tool container. So within table, okay, in the configuration, just uncheck all the group by. Okay, you can actually maybe reduce table width by maybe to 70% or 80%. Okay, then there is an option here for highlighting dynamic fields. So in the event your boss receives, let's say the manager of the airlines or the airport receives a report, he wants to know every time we exceed 1,000 delays, can I have it in red color, for example, or in blue color? Okay, so there is that option. All you have to do is click the word count. Okay, and then under count, on the right side, there's this at the bottom, there's this thing called column rules. You can create a rule. So you can create a rule where whenever the count is more than 1,000, or let's say more than 900, okay, the text color will be red, for example. Okay, then you can apply that. Okay, so you can experiment with the reporting tools, but the reporting tools will not be shown in the results window. So you need to find the browse tool for that. So you need to connect the browse tool, which is the binoculars under the green in out. So connect the browse tool to your reporting tool, click run. And then when you click the browse tool, you'll be able to see this on the right side. Okay, then last thing, you want to add in maybe a heading. You can pull in like maybe like, let's say report text, for example. And then report text, I'm just going to maybe attach text to existing table, place the text above the existing object, and I'll just put in like frequency of delays. Okay, I will bold it. Okay, click another run, and then you will see this. Yeah. Okay, and then if you want to automate the emails or whatever else it is, or maybe let's say just a PowerPoint or maybe a Excel. Okay, the last step you can take, email tool is here, but if you want to maybe churn a report, you can just click under render, if I remember correctly. So it should be render. Yeah, and then render is the last step, and then you can output file here. So choose a specific output file, drop down, and then you can save it. So you can save it to whatever name of the file you want to, and it will be on your desktop. Okay, or you can of course automate the email with the email tool. I'll just show you what it looks like. So you can set up email tool, and your respective, managers or directors in your company can receive it. Or of course, it can be piped back to your data warehouse. Okay, so yeah, that's all I have for you today. I will share with you some follow-up information about where you can find your starter kits. Earlier on, I shared about supply chain starter kit and so on. All these can be found downloaded, and then you can find it here later on. Okay, then feel free to let me know if you have any questions, need any tips. I'm happy to share. Yeah, thanks so much, Dr. Riaz, for giving me this opportunity to join your session.
Thank you, Ms. Cheryl. I think it's very informative and non-stop. You are 2 hours. Okay, that's really informative. Where you share the importance of Alteryx and also some company use cases, and also many of our students. You can see they're very happy to see the practical output, which was they managed to do it. We really appreciate your time and the weekend.
No problem.
We look forward how we can move further into this collaboration of bringing Alteryx into our module. Really appreciate it. So